Okay.
And so I am just thankful that you're all here tonight, and I'm excited to. Of course, I know Dianna's story, so but I'm always, Dianna, you're going to find she's such a joy. But and Amy is joining us. You look at her! Woohoo! Great job! Great job! All right. Well, Dianna, meet Tom and Amy, and here's Dianna. Isn't this awesome? You can, now, Dianna, Amy is in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. Thomas is here in Traverse City with me.
Okay.
And Dianna lives in Minnesota.
Yep, that's right.
That's right. And so one of the I started the recording. One of the great things about our business is that, of course, we do get to meet people all over the country, and I know that this is the last day of the month, and people are trying to. In fact, I was just while I was waiting, Dianna and I was being rude to Dianna because I was answering a couple of questions on two parties I'm trying to close tonight. But and thank heavens for virtual. I'm really happy about all this virtual stuff, but we're learning. But anyway, people in all over the country. We have people in all over, and I am so thankful that I get to visit them once a year. And so what happens is Dianna is a director on our team, and at our TNT we were talking about the big picture and kind of how things work with Pampered Chef. Well, now Amy is on the Josephus personal team, as was or is Dianna. Now, Thomas, well, you're on my personal team too because Ashley's not a director. So really, you're all on my team. I mean, directly to me. And so Dianna became a director 8 months ago. And what happens is, like, let's just say I move away, or Thomas, you move away, or Amy, you move, or you're more than 100 miles away from me. Pampered Chef will pay for me to come visit you once a month when you're a director team. And that is so cool. That is so fun that we get to meet like that. So I told Dianna, of course, when she promoted, I would come to visit. And I did.
It was wonderful.
It was so fun. And I'm excited. We have to plan another trip later in the year. So with that, so that's enough about me. But I just want you to understand the structure there. Because sometimes I assume everybody knows how it all works, and that's an assumption is not always good, as I often tell my husband.
Yes.
Yeah. So before we get started, I would actually like to hear from all of you. Amy, so just tell us a little bit about yourself and about your lifestyle. Can you unmute, Amy? I'm gonna unmute you. It's not letting
Nope, I got it.
Yeah. Okay. So just like we did, I don't think that made the video on the last one, and this is a new class anyway. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, I work full time. I work at our local hospital in the billing office, and I am married. I'm a dog mom, so I do have 2 dogs. And I just recently, I've been with Pampered Chef since November of 2018. And I basically joined because my goal is to grow my business so that can be my full-time job in the next, I'm giving it 5 years. I'm hoping to be out of the billing office in 5 years and be doing Pampered Chef full-time.
Excellent.
So that's basically my goal. And I think you referred to it as a second best, second choice, whatever it was accurate, because I do think in the future my job will be eliminated, and that is what I'm planning for. Yeah. When it eliminates, I will be doing Pampered Chef full time.
A side hustle that makes money.
Yes.
How's that?
That works.
Good. Thanks, Amy. Thomas, now tell us about yourself.
More or less, I work at the airport as an operations supervisor, and I started Pampered Chef kind of as hey, I like to cook, here's the tools, why not try it out? And if I make extra money doing it, great. So it's kind of more of like a hobby now.
Okay.
Yeah.
And tell us about your family, because you have a darling family.
I have 3 little kids. One is 5, one is 3, and then we've got a 5.5-month-old. So, yeah, all
Isn't it?
growing like weeds, and it's crazy.
It is crazy. And then and by the way, Amy, did you know that I have 4 dogs?
No,
Yeah.
I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
you have to check out my Facebook. Yeah, I talk about my dog. I talk about my dogs, and we have a macaw too. So yeah, we have a lot in common.
Yeah, I'll have to check you out.
And Dianna, well, Dianna, tell us about yourself.
Okay.
Tell us a little bit about you personally.
Sure. A little bit about myself. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Well, I actually did not know about Pampered Chef when Pampered Chef began in 1980, although I'm definitely old enough to have known about it. But I was living overseas at the time. And so, when Pampered Chef got started, was really rolling, I was over there. And it wasn't until I came back in 1992 that I was invited to a party. And I suppose if I had a regret, it would be that somebody back then didn't latch on to me and say, you really should do this. But I really didn't have any consultants in the area that were doing that. But it was Sherry Brown from Wisconsin who came and really got me excited. But I had some other things that I was doing. And one of the big challenges that I did was I felt the passion to get into organic food. And I started an organic market in our small town. And that took a lot of energy, a lot of time. But I loved it and loved doing it. And I started teaching classes at the same time. And then what I decided was, if I'm working with this incredible, delicious food, I need to become a Pampered Chef consultant. So being the era of the internet, I just went online one night at midnight, because I am kind of a late night owl. And I signed up. And Sherry was the only person I knew, so I put her name in there. And so that's how I got started. But I was multitasking a number of things that required a lot of upfront administrative energy, also assisting my husband in a new church, developing programs for that. So I was really distracted, and probably I think that I should have given more to Pampered Chef. But if I think about what my goal was in those early years, Karen, it was, I just wanted to stay active and alive.
And you did. And tell us a little bit about your family. Tell us, how many kids you have.
Okay, I have 2 grown sons, and Jonathan and Joshua, and they are married to an Anna and an Angela. And between the 2 sons, we have got 10 grandchildren and number 11 on the way. So that's not too bad for just 2 sons. And they live right nearby here. We love being nearby. Both of my daughters-in-law, they lost their mothers when the mothers were in their 50s. So I'm so glad I live nearby and that I can support them. I can cook for them, bring food over. I keep a cleaning bucket in my back seat of my car, because when I go over there, I just want to be ready to work. I want to be ready to help out. And that is really a joy and a passion that I have.
Well, Dianna really has a servant's heart, and I think that that's always very helpful with our business, and of course, as a human being.
Yes.
Okay, so what I want you to know is, before I go to talk about how much, what your paycheck looks like, Dianna.
Yeah.
How long have you been with Pampered Chef?
I've been with Pampered Chef for 10 years.
Okay, and I know, and I know what you've been through, and I know, but tell me what changed? What made you decide? And I thought it was interesting too that you said, I probably didn't give Pampered Chef as much as I should have. And I find that so interesting, because I hear that often.
Mm-hmm.
And I talked a little bit in the prior workshop about it's the momentum to build up. It's just 15 days. 15 days. Ooh, that was Friday. 15 minutes a day, just 15 productive minutes a day that can make such a huge difference. And do you think that if you done that in the beginning, you would be in a different place right now?
Yes, I think there were a number of things going on other than just my passion with the organic market and assisting my husband in building new programs in this church that was ready to close its doors. But I think that at that time, Pampered Chef did not have the focus of training that they have with the programs online. Mm-hmm. And they did have some videos, and I did do those. And the other thing I think was huge for me was the personal touch. Somebody, and my director was in another state, and she was an incredible consultant who did incredible sales. But I really needed some nurturing and encouragement. I go a long ways when somebody says you're doing a good job.
Yeah.
And so, I just kind of fumbled along a little bit there.
Yeah. And then when you learned that we had more things going on as a team, and Facebook became, helpful.
And Facebook, when that was also huge when they had, I think that when they had all the forums that were started, I just went on there and I would type in the search line what my question was. I'd try to look it up. I would ask, and I would call. I'd call home office all the time. Okay. And I would say, to try to find answers for things. So,
yeah. Well, then all of a sudden the light went out. On.
Yeah. Well, it's a couple of things, Karen and Tom and Amy. For one thing, when I started with Pampered Chef, I did not need the income, which maybe is a little bit different from most people, but we didn't have children we had a son still at home and some college, but with the various things that we did, my husband and I did, we had enough income. And so I really wasn't in it at that point for the income, but I was very passionate about teaching how to cook. I really wanted to inspire people. And so that was a motivational thing. But money is a pretty good motivator, because then my husband retired, and he is really a full-time grandpa and very incredible support to our two families. But we need the income now. And so it was like, you know what, I need to be active. And then what I discovered when I was active was that if I met a certain amount of sales every month, Pampered Chef would send me the new products free. Mm-hmm. So I was no longer investing my own dollars into those products. And it's like, well, this sure makes sense. I always wondered, what does it mean to work smarter, not harder? And believe it or not, I didn't know what that meant. But I've come to learn what it is, and one of them is simply to run your business, work it, so that you are not investing your commission dollars back into the products, but to do that. And then the other thing was when you, Karen, just came alongside me and said, if you would promote, this is how it would impact your income. And even after you told me that, I didn't quite grasp it until I got my first paycheck. And it was like, wow, why would I not want to keep at this status?
And, you really bring up a great point, because I remember, when I was, 27 years ago, I didn't know, of course, we had a little bit different titles at that time, but, the senior consultant, the team leader, I didn't know what that meant.
Yeah.
But I figured I learned as I went. I figured when I got there, I would learn what it is, So it was really funny. I know when I quit my full-time job, I didn't know what an executive director was, but I was going to pretend that I knew what it was, and I faked it till I made it. But that's true. And Dianna, and I think we've learned that there's really nothing wrong with making a nice income, is it? Is there?
No. I mean, especially if you have a heart that wants to give, how can you give if you don't have it?
Yeah. Right.
So, monetarily, there's the giving of our time and our energy, but dollars are really important too. So, So you've really helped me that. And so for Tom and Amy, who are just meeting me tonight, for my husband and I, we were missionaries, and during that 18-year period as missionaries, we never received a salary. So I was really accustomed to not seeing a paycheck. And I almost felt guilty to think that I'm doing a cooking show and I'm going to earn money off of this. And Karen had to just keep coming back at me. It's okay. It's okay. It's a good thing.
Isn't that interesting, you guys? It's so interesting. So your inspiration about Paper Chef, of course, was helping other people and teaching them how to cook.
Yes.
What was your first Paper Chef goal? Do you remember?
Well, it's kind of like what I said. It was just to maintain an active status.
Okay.
Which is, I say that's pretty weak and not very notable, anything to aspire to. But that was my goal at that time, and so. But of course, it's changed now.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it'll keep growing.
Right. What accomplishment are you most proud of?
You know what? That's a really interesting question. And the very, very first thing that comes to my mind is when I achieved my $15,000 career sales the second time.
Okay.
And the reason why I say that is because, number one, with my just plodding along at a snail's pace, it took me a while to get to the 15,000. And when I reached it and I saw what an impact that made in my monthly commission.
10% increase, yeah.
Yes,
or 10% raise, right.
Really nice. But I went through a difficult summer with my mother's health and a lot of hospitalizations and passing away. And so during that time, I misunderstood the rules of what it means to be active. And so I missed my second month. And I was boo-hoo. I was not happy. I was sad.
I remember.
And Karen was really good to me because she said to me, it's your job to know the rules. And why that was so important is because there's something about my personality. I think that through my years of growing up and that I kind of expected people to make allowances for me. And they did. But Karen made no allowance. She said, it's your job to know the rules. And I had to work through that. And it was my lowest point in 10 years, in the 10 years I've been doing it with my business, and I was going to quit. Mm-hmm. It's like, I can't do it. But right on the end, the tails of saying that it was my job to know the rules, Karen also said to me, you did it once, you can do it again. And that was so empowering to me. And I thought, yeah, she's right. I did it once. I can do it again. So when I got my little congratulations thing that I had reached that for the second time, which would have been, 30,000 career sales, it was emotional for me. It changed something on the inside of me because I realized that I could set a goal and I could meet it.
Mm-hmm. So. And I tell you what, and that's one of the hardest parts of my job is sometimes being honest when it hurts, because I can't change the rules, and I can't tell 400 people where they're at,
No.
I mean, so, so when, and I know that Paper Chef sends out messages and that kind of stuff, and I think they're even actually better at that maybe than they were back then. Yeah. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to move down here. And I'm not sure you can see this. I'm gonna see is it bigger? Being made bigger? Okay, what I'd like to show you is that, I didn't say what, I cut off the sales part of, but you can see that Dianna, last month did about 3,700 in sales, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And as a consultant, she would have made $1,000. And Thomas and Amy were on my last call, and I was showing my paycheck. I actually was showing where I stand this month so far. So I know this a little bit. But she made $286 extra for being a director. Now, I'm not sure what you guys would do with $286. But, so her paycheck was $1,286.08. And so I'd like you to maybe think about what you would do with an extra $1,286. Now, and here we are just talking about the money. Let's talk for a second how rewarding it's been to build a team. Mm-hmm. Would you like to share just a little bit about that, Dianna?
Yes. Well, uh, just helping other people, knowing that everybody struggles. I should say most everybody struggles with making ends meet and wanting to have extra discretionary dollars to do things for your children, for your family. Maybe it's a building project. And so to just see the people on my team making that extra dollars to make their life easier. They say that finance is the number one reason why couples have marital difficulties. So there's a lot of reasons why we want to keep that strong in our families.
Well, and I would imagine with your work with the church, you probably have heard a bit about that firsthand.
Yes.
Yeah. So, well, Dianna, so far this year you've made $1,000 extra for being a director. So I think that's noteworthy as well.
Yes, and maybe could I mention that I had some dental work that was on the back burner, and finally I just thought, I've got to get into this and check it out. And so I had over $5,000 in dental work that needed to be done, and so my Pampered Chef, and no insurance on dental work, my Pampered Chef business has taken care of that. So I think it was really phenomenal.
So sometimes we talk about braces for the kids. We're talking about dental work for us.
Yes, right. Well, I came from a big family with my father had 10 children. And so dental work was not a priority. And we didn't know about sugar and Kool-Aid and those things. So
yeah. Well, thank you, Dianna, so much for being with us and sharing your story. Thomas and Amy, is there anything that intrigued you? What has struck you about Dianna's story?
Even just the small goal, set bigger ones. So goal might be, hey, let's just get through the month, but look at the big picture, kind of like we led into the last one. There's a ton of potential.
There really is. So. Great, Thomas. Thanks for sharing. What about you, Amy? Anything strike you? We can hear you. No, now there you go. Uh-oh. You're muted, Amy.
Okay.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
yes.
Okay. Don't double click it. I think what I liked all of it, especially her comment about she was just trying to stay active. I get that because I would have that same thought. Well, as long as I just do my 150, I'm good. But the whole 15,000 career thing, it didn't discourage her. She kept going.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Thanks, Amy. It's funny because, and I often say that keeping active is very important.
She pressed on. She went for another 50,000.
Yeah. I think your connection is slow there, but the thing about it too is, not too many people sign up to make an extra $30 a month, which is, and it's fine. I always said that people that do less than 4 shows a month, my hat is off to them if they can stay with it, because that's really the hardest way to work the business. You're shaking your head, Dianna. I'm not putting words in your mouth.
Karen, can I comment on that?
Yes.
Well, I remember hearing at the very beginning that you only have to do your first show once. And because the first show is the scariest. And you know what? I was really, really, I had to do my first show over and over and over again because I wasn't active enough. It's like, you know what? I'm right back here with all the and everything. Why do I do this to myself? So you're exactly right to be active. That is the easiest way to run your business.
Yeah. It's funny because we talked the last call about Doris in depth and her first show, and I'm not sure if you've ever heard that story, but you'll have to listen to watch that video. Can you think of something you might have in common with her? I think maybe you kind of just did, but what you just said. We talked to, there's nobody on this call that was on last week, so we won't talk about the assignment, but we had an assignment to watch 2 videos, and you know what? I'll post those on the Joe Pack page because they're very good. Michael Reeves and Tanil Eubanks are talking about passion and how important that is. So I will. It's a YouTube, so I will post that. Now, I just want to. I've been talking about this every week with the TNT, or I'm sorry, with the Rise, because your belief determines your actions determine your results, and then your results reinforce your beliefs. So it's a matter of getting into that routine. And we talked a little bit last workshop about, you know, the consistency of a 15 minutes spent on your business every day, where you're taking action, which gives you results, which makes you believe more. You know, so you get in that, you know, that kind of merry-go-round, and it's really important that you get there. And part of this workshop is talking about belief, passion, skill, and will. And we're talking a little bit about skill tonight, and the skill of what it takes to, and again, you know, it doesn't matter really where you are with Pampered Chef in terms of what your level is. If you want a successful business, you know, bookings and recruiting and, you know, sales are what drives the business. So, you know, you can't have a successful Pampered Chef business even if you're not interested in leadership, without you know, bookings and recruit and sales. And again, recruiting is something we're going to talk more about as we go through this, but it's not something we do to someone. It's something we do for someone, because we don't know who needs dental work. We don't know who needs to send their kids to private schools. We don't know who has, you know, a need that maybe is looking for retirement or looking for a plan B. But, you know, so we want to be able to offer that, regardless of what that means for us. And again, tomorrow there's going to be some huge, I hope you guys check your Pampered Chef account very early for some announcements, and watch for an email, because you tell me, you tell me how blown away you're going to be. And then, of course, this is going to really help the passion too. Skill is the ability to do something well. And, you know, the great thing about Pampered Chef is that, you know, just using the products gives us that level of expertise. Learning leadership, and of course, that's something that we offer for help for people that want to build their business. But I think we do a really good job with skill. At least I like to think we offer lots of opportunities for learning. You know, every Sunday there's learning. It's repetitive, which, you know, sometimes it just needs to be repetitive. You know, sometimes you need to hear something 6 times before it hits you. Anybody there with me?
Yes.
Yeah. So it is really important. And again, and it's also repetitive. So when you have team members join, you know what's there for them. You don't have to reinvent that wheel. Okay. That's why we do that for you. And of course, Pampered Chef's training is, I've always said, and I do believe this, I don't care what direct selling company you are with, you will never be better trained than you are with Pampered Chef. We have the best trained field out there. So, you know, what do you feel what do you feel you were the best at with your Pampered Chef business? What do you think you're really good at? Who wants to share? You need to give yourself a pat on the back. There is something that you do really well. It might be your enthusiasm. It might be a demo. It might be...
I think I'm too new to do anything really well right now.
You're really good at starting. I know for me that was 27 years ago. Thomas, I think you're very enthusiastic.
Yeah, here and there.
Yeah, okay, and that's okay. But again, you know, if you're spending that 15 minutes where you're feeling in control, you know what I mean? It helps you feel more enthusiastic and feel more positive. Would you agree with me there, Dianna?
Yes, definitely. Yep.
Okay. What do you feel you're the best at, Dianna?
Well, I think that my passion for good cooking for real food, fresh food, I think it shines through without me even thinking about it,
Mhm.
and it draws people in. And the second thing I would say is just my passion for customer service. I
Mhm.
love to
Mhm.
help people figure things out. If somebody's at a cooking show and they say, I have something I bought from another consultant and it's never worked right. It's like, I could just give them the number and tell them to take care of it, but I love doing it for them. And I usually do it right away, and I do it fast. And just the satisfaction then that they have been helped. Because I feel like when I do that, I'm also representing other consultants so that they realize that Pampered Chef is such a great company. Pampered Chef consultants want to take care of you.
Mhm. Yeah, and you are really, really good at that. Well, and again, sometimes I think that we look at other people's success and we have this glorified, that they're so good at everything, but we don't always see what goes, in the background. And we all have our ups and downs, and we all have our struggles at times. And so what I would like to do is we're going to talk. I want to talk about what you feel you need the most help with. But to do that, I'm going to have to give you an assignment. And let me see. I'm trying to find where I am on my things. And your assignment is going to be, I couldn't figure out a way to put it in slide. It's called the skills, the self-assessment skills. And this is not for you, this is for you to look at where you're at, but more importantly, it's not to think about what you do badly. It helps you know where to focus your time and where you need to build. So I'm gonna share that with you. I'm gonna post it on the Joe Pack, and then I'd like you to take the time to fill that out. And then we're gonna know, your host coaching. It's actually a little bit dated, and it's geared towards live parties. And but just take that with a grain of salt and think about Thomas, you like to do live shows more than virtual, right?
Yeah, I just like that more personal connection rather
Yeah.
than the virtual. But I've done both.
Okay.
So
I'm the same way. I'm falling more and more in love with the virtual. And again, and I'm more excited. I love it. I love it on a couple of nights where my husband wants me to be home, and wants me to sit down with him and watch TV. Well, I can sit with a computer, I really love that part of it. But this is going to help you know what skills you might need to repair, because when you saw those 4 pillars, you want to make sure that that skill pillar is very solid. And because if you have 4 corners, you want them all to be strong, right? You can't just have one strong. Although usually, again, the skill is pretty strong. Now, how do you build skill? Attending things like this, I hope you find it to be very helpful. And networking, national conference is important. Meetings are so important. Although we can do a lot of things virtually, it is nice to be able to get together, on a one-on-one basis. About 3 weeks ago, we had our recipe showcase here at my house, and Thomas was here for tasting some recipes, weren't you, Thomas?
yeah, that was 2 weeks ago, wasn't it?
Was it 2 weeks ago? Oh, time goes. I don't know. I have a hard time keeping track of time. So, but that's helpful. And I don't know, in the Sioux, if there's ever anything, I'd love to be able to come up and get together with you guys, and maybe we'll have to do that. Yes.
I would like to mention on the building skill, it's doing.
Mm-hmm.
You need to do it. And so, like, if you are someone who does live cooking shows, or even, you want to do live videos for your virtual parties, we just need to be in our kitchens, and we need to be using the tools and practicing, and even playing a dialogue or a monologue sometimes in our head of what we would say as we're doing it. So just practice, practice, practice.
Well, and I changed the screen again because it's that action you talk about, Dianna, that's so important. Yeah. And and for those of you, what we're starting, and I'm trying to think of a way to implement it right now. I think I put a post out that is getting 4 virtual parties on your calendar. And I did 3 this week. I got to tell you, one was at 600, one was at 400, and one was at 0. I did the same thing I posted the same thing for all 3 parties. And I know that when I was trying to build my live shows back when I started, it was just hanging in there and doing it. And the more you do it, the better you get at it. And those numbers increase, and then when you're doing 3, all of a sudden it's not a big problem to add 4, especially for these virtual parties again, because once you've got your template, you're done. You're not reinventing the wheel every time you try. It's like doing a live cooking show. I take the same products for the most part, I'll do a different recipe. I've got different people there. I'm really doing the same demo, but with different people. And that's really how it is with virtual. You only have to come up with one template. And you might change in your specials, you might change a recipe, but for the most part, again, your structure and everything's the same. So it's just getting that system down and taking action. And then, yes.
I just want to just emphasize what you just said, that just be willing to dig in and do that upfront learning curve, and just know that it will pay off to you. And I came kicking and screaming the early part of November last year. I didn't want to do it, but I didn't want to learn Cinch.
And you're referring to virtual parties, yes. Okay.
Yeah, virtual parties, yeah. And so I did, and you know what? Just in time, my first party that I did in November, it was like I made a few mistakes, but I'm so much better now at accepting myself for making those mistakes. And then on the tail of that, I did like 3 parties in a row that were $1,000 each. And it's like, oh, okay, I think a virtual party is a good place to be.
Excellent.
But you have to put that work in the front end, making your posts and making them your own, organizing them.
And you have come such a long way with that. And I have to say that you really, you've come a long way, baby. So, but okay, so I'm going to post the skills assessment form, and I would really love for you to fill that out and share it with me, please. And again, I'm not trying to make you beat yourself up. We're just trying to figure out where we need to go to work, and I hope that it will be very beneficial for you. And then any questions or comments? We got just a couple. Actually, we have less than a minute. Anything? What's one thing you learned tonight? Uh-oh.
You just got to do it.
You just got to do it. Excellent. Yeah. You're shaking your head, Thomas. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Okay.
So kind of like we mentioned in the last one, just 15 minutes a day. Just
All right.
Sit down and do it.
All right. And do you all text? I know, Dianna, you text. Do you text Thomas? I think
Yes.
we texted. And you text Amy? I'm working on a program to text. I might just say, today. How's it going today? Not pressure, just a reminder. All right, you guys. Thank you so much for joining us. I would love for you to get on the Joe Pack and say, I just completed my number 3. It's not your 3rd. You might want to say number 3 Bry's workshop. And I hope you'll join us next week when we talk with Maureen Kimmel. We're changing it to 9 o'clock because she has an 8 o'clock commitment. So I'll put that out there. So, but have a great week, Dianna. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. It was fun to be a part. Bye, everyone.
Great. Good night now.
Bye.
Bye.